What were your overall perspectives? How did you guys do? Just your over the top kind of drone view of Super Bowl betting from a PointsBet standpoint.
Yeah, Adam, we absolutely crushed it at PointsBet, and I think all books did really, really well. You know, the line was the Chiefs -3, and I was so curious kind of why we didn't move that up to say 3.5 or 4, because 90% of the money we got in terms of spread betting was on the Chiefs. Now, we did take a little more money line action on the Bucks, but, you know, before I got into this business, I thought the whole goal of the sports books was to set a line and adjust the line to get that 50-50 action where you are guaranteed to make a profit. And it turns out that is not true. Our guys set a line where they think we are going to end up being the most profitable. And there are games like this almost every week in the NFL where we got 87% of the money on one side, 82% of the money here, 79% on the over. And we sometimes adjust the lines and sometimes we don't, and give our traders credit. I mean, they clearly thought Tampa was the play, and the book did great because, Tampa covered the line and it was the under. In a perfect world, it would have been the Chiefs winning by 1 or 2. So the Tampa money line would not have hit, but I think your guys are not getting that greedy. They're just happy with the result.
Teddy, can I ask you a question about the regular season? Because we saw it was so weird this year with home field advantage. It really didn't matter that much in the regular season. How did you guys, handle that at PointsBet?
Marcus, I think we were considering it, a 1-point edge in most cases. Maybe it was like 1.5 if there were fans there. We'd factor in weather sometimes, I'm sure, like with the Packers, or if the Bears were any good, maybe weather would have mattered, but most games it didn't. So that was a little bit of an adjustment. And I think I remember from the season, just looking at the overall numbers, the favorites did well this year. So the favorites, it was maybe 52 or 53%, which doesn't bode well for the books, but clearly postseason made up for it. And especially this Super Bowl also made up for last year's Super Bowl, where there was heavy action on the Chiefs as well. And obviously they rallied to beat the 49ers.
So getting now to the core of, you mentioned the Super Bowl. Prop betting we spent like an hour on it last week. Teddy, you've probably spent God knows how many hours thinking, writing, talking about him over the last couple of weeks. Right. I'll start with a few. There was like some hot button ones. The anthem, right? This guy ruining everybody's over-under anthem bets by just standing outside the stadium and recording it. So take me into your side, because I think it's funny. You've got people that are scrambling to whatever book they choose, getting in a bet. From the book side, or from your side, what was that moment like in terms of adjusting, taking it down, et cetera?
Well, this one, I know somebody bet $10,000 on PointsBet that the opening kickoff would not be returned for a touchdown. And it was an unusual bet because it was $10,000 to win 200. I said, man, talk about a hard grind when you're grinding out the rent money on that one, 10K to win 200, but it obviously paid off. So props to the guy. Probably had to stress it out for a second or two, but pretty good. 3 prominent props that PointsBet and probably the other books did well on was the Tom Brady over under on a half a rushing yard. The vast majority of people had the over, maybe including me, and that obviously didn't hit.
This podcast as well.
Yeah, this entire podcast, yep.
Yeah, and he had a chance, right? I mean, he could have plunged it in from the one and didn't. Mecole Hardman, 25.5 receiving yards. We were getting a lot of play on the over. That one ended up under. Ryan Sukup to miss a field goal. For some reason, the Sharps all thought he would miss a field goal. That didn't happen. We did take a little bit of a ding on Gronk, 2 touchdowns. One guy bet $1,000 and got 11-1 odds, but in general, it doesn't sound like we got torched on many props.
The one that I'm sure you made good money on is an offensive lineman to catch a touchdown, and I just want to let you guys know you were about this close to losing that bet. I'm still a little bitter
what a
about
breakup.
it. That's all.
Oh my God, exactly. That was one where I'm like, oh, it's a touchdown, it's done. That looked over. The other one that I think a lot of people were throwing money down on was more than 2.5 players to make a pass, to attempt a pass. There was, some sense that there was going to be a little trickeration involved. So it seems like a lot of the fun ones did not hit. I feel terrible for the people who had the honey badger making an interception, because I think that still should have been an interception. I didn't like that defensive hold there, but yeah, a lot of the fun ones just didn't hit this year.
So Teddy, we were talking a little bit before we came on about the quote unquote, this stuff goes viral now. We talk about educating gamblers, but the streakers, so to speak, in a very Florida-like outfit on the field. Kevin Harlan with a great call of that, by the way, if you have not heard it. What goes on there, and then there's this rumor jumping that, hey, this guy betted $50,000 at plus 750, and I read this stuff and I just cringe. And set us straight, set everyone straight, because you could probably set them straight that we can, about what is realistic when it comes to this stuff versus what people read.
Yeah, Adam, I had about 12 people send me whatever that was, Instagram post, and I immediately said, BS, man. There's no way. I mean, maybe that bet exists somewhere about a streaker, but they probably would max it out at $50, not $50,000. I mean, there's no bookmaker in his right mind who's going to allow himself to be manipulated that way, where you can physically jump on and win, hundreds of thousands of dollars by being a freaking idiot. So I think it's telling that when you look at this post, there's no mention of, which sports book it was. People just accepted it. And I put it on Twitter yesterday. I said, big steaming pile of poo, because I don't think there's any way it's possible. Turns out one of these guys or both of these guys is a Chicago area dude. He's like from Cicero. He's a 16-inch softball player. I know we'll find that really hard to believe. So
I know a lot of those guys, Teddy, by the way.
Yeah. I love softball too, but I definitely don't, run out of football stadiums and then claim I made $350K. So I think this guy's should enjoy his moment of glory, but I don't think that's going to help get him out of jail or whatever, hot water he's in.
It was the most exciting play of the game, by the way.
He did have one nice juke move.
Yeah, just saying it. Let's look ahead, right? It's the afterglow of the Super Bowl, Mahomes, everything else. However that transpired, it sounds like Brady is coming back. It sounds like Gronk is staying unretired in the most Gronk way possible, to say he's going to continue to play football still. So we talked a little bit about kind of the futures earlier. What have been some of the early reactions, right? You put out these numbers, people overreact, they appropriately react, and they grab things out there. So from a future market standpoint, to win the Super Bowl, what have been some of the responses?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen movement in these lines, which tells me that they were set accordingly. Sometimes you see that, you see like a quick move. I think the sharps tend to jump in very early or very late is how they do, is how they make their moves. They look for a soft line right when it comes out. And then if they don't like something, they wait for the public to move it a certain way, and then they jump in and take the opposite. So, we opened up with the Chiefs at plus 600, 6-1, Packers at 9, Ravens, Bills, and Bucks at 12-1, followed by the Rams at 14. It's interesting with this stuff. It's kind of like, there are two guessing games here. There's the guessing game of which team's going to win the Super Bowl, and the guessing game of who's going to be the quarterback on such and such team. So, that's up in the air for a lot of these teams. I mean, my beloved New York Jets, let's see, you can get them at 85-1 right now. I mean, maybe Zach Wilson is going to be leading them to a Super Bowl title next year.
I forgot I have company finally, Teddy, as a Jets fan myself on this. That's actually warming. We can't let Marcus knock us around here for too long, because there's been enough of that on this pod. I guess I'll ask one more relative to the future odds. Like, you're seeing the NBA-ization of the NFL in some ways with trades, right? Kind of trades that radically impact these odds, whether it's, Detroit and LA, you've got Darnold out there, you've got other guys out there, Carr on the move. So I don't know, you guys can't really prepare for that, but I would imagine these will radically change your lives here in a moment's notice when you get that news on social media.
Well, there was Kevin Durant a few weeks ago when he gets moved. What did the Nets go from? Did they go from like 8-1 to 3.5-1? I think they went from plus 800 to plus
James Harden,
right. Oh, I'm sorry, exactly. When Harden moved to the Nets, and I thought it was actually pretty cool. Like, PointsBet offered, I think, a 24 or 48 hour freeze on that. So you could still grab the Nets at, 6 or 8-1, whatever it was before the move. I'm just looking at another one here because it's just what we're talking about. Next team Carson Wentz will play a snap for. Chicago Bears are plus 115.
Oh boy.
The Colt, I know. Is that the good news or the bad news? Probably the bad news. Indianapolis Colts are plus 135. Jets are plus 2,500. So Carson Wentz is not expected to be a Jet.
You got enough problems.
So yeah, all these quarterback moves, certainly not Wentz so much because he's not going to lead anybody to a Super Bowl next year. But if some of the big boys, if Deshaun Watson gets moved, wow, that'll flip things.
Teddy, I got a quick question. A lot of people are excited about the NFL draft. I know you guys have some NFL draft prop bets out now. The number one pick is going to be Trevor Lawrence, but when can bettors start to expect some of those bets to start coming on the board?
Such a great question, Marcus. I was wondering the same because exactly right now, I mean, I don't think we're taking too much action. I don't think we're taking too much action on Trey Lance being the number one pick on the draft at plus 5,500. God bless him. So I would hope, at least 2, 3, 4 weeks out. Wish I could tell you now. Maybe it'll be sooner. I'm thinking about how our traders, I'm trying to get in their mindset right now. Like they don't like to do it too soon. So they don't like to do it before the combine or before these big events that move stuff. Like sometimes I'll be trying to propose a name a bet. And I'll say, Phil Mickelson's birdies on Thursday versus Kyrie Irving's 3-pointers. But Kyrie still has a game with the Nets on Tuesday. So they say, no, we don't want to price it until, that game is his next game. So I think with something like this, they're obviously comfortable with the whole who's going to be the number one pick, but then they want to see more information before they start to get into those massive props we're going to have on 2, 3, 4, 5, all that stuff.